Look, there is a specific type of person who can walk into your life, smile at you for 6 months, and leave your brain responding to the world differently for years, not because they broke your heart, because prolonged psychological stress can actually change the way your brain processes emotions, memories, and decisions. And here's the terrifying part. Science now understands much more about how it happens. It's not bad luck. It's not coincidence. It's a predictable pattern of manipulation that psychologists have been studying for decades. By the end of this video, you'll never look at toxic relationships the same way again. Psychologists often talk about toxic personality patterns. It's not an official medical diagnosis. Instead, it's a combination of personality traits and behaviors that consistently harm the people around them. Today, we're breaking down the science behind why these individuals affect us so deeply, why intelligent people get trapped, and most importantly, how to recognize the warning signs before the damage becomes lasting. The researchers often refer to something called the dark triad, 3 personality traits that become especially dangerous when they're expressed at extreme levels. Narcissism, an excessive need for admiration and validation. Machiavellianism, a willingness to manipulate others for personal gain, often without remorse. Psychopathic traits, reduced empathy, shallow emotional responses, and very little guilt when causing harm. Each of these traits exists on a spectrum, but when several appear together, they can create someone who reads people exceptionally well, only to use that insight against them. They can make an entire room feel special, while quietly making one person question their own worth. Sometimes, all in the same afternoon. Here's something that surprises many people. Toxic people aren't successful because their victims are weak. They're successful because they exploit systems that every healthy human brain already has. One of the most powerful is called intermittent reinforcement. Kindness, then rejection, affection, then criticism, hope, then disappointment. Over and over again. Research shows that unpredictable rewards activate many of the same dopamine-based learning systems involved in gambling and other addictive behaviors. Your brain keeps expecting the next positive moment, so it keeps investing, even when the relationship is causing more pain than happiness. This doesn't mean you're irrational, it means your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, which means it could happen to almost anyone. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. The longer the cycle continues, the harder it often becomes to recognize what's happening. Not because you've become weak, because chronic stress gradually changes how your brain responds. The very organ you rely on to make good decisions can become less effective while you're living under constant emotional pressure. When you're exposed to ongoing manipulation, conflict, or emotional abuse, your body may remain in a prolonged state of stress. That means cortisol, your primary stress hormone, can stay elevated for extended periods. Over time, chronic stress is associated with reduced efficiency in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for judgment, planning, self-control, and rational decision-making. At the same time, the amygdala, the brain's threat detection system, can become more reactive. In simple terms, your emotional alarms become louder, while your logical voice becomes quieter. That's one reason people often say, "I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't leave." Gaslighting is much more than lying. It's a systematic attempt to make you doubt your own perception of reality. You remember a conversation. They insist it never happened. You confront them with facts. They tell you you're imagining things. Eventually, your confidence in your own memory begins to fade. Psychologists describe this as creating intense cognitive dissonance. Your brain is forced to hold 2 conflicting versions of reality at the same time. The goal isn't simply to win an argument. The goal is much more powerful. If you stop trusting yourself, you become far easier to control. Why people don't just leave? People often ask, why didn't they just walk away? Neuroscience offers part of the answer. Trauma bonds can develop when periods of affection are repeatedly interrupted by fear, rejection, or emotional pain, because rewards become unpredictable. The brain learns to chase them even more intensely. It's remarkably similar to what happens with slot machines. Every loss increases the hope that the next attempt will finally bring relief. The attachment becomes unusually strong, even while the relationship becomes increasingly unhealthy. This isn't about intelligence. It isn't about weakness. It's about human biology being exploited. Fortunately, the brain is also capable of healing. One of neuroscience's most encouraging discoveries is neuroplasticity. Your brain constantly adapts to new experiences. When the manipulation ends and healthy relationships, safety, and consistency replace chronic stress, those neural pathways can begin to recover. Healing doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And understanding what's happening inside your brain is often the first step toward reclaiming your life. Understanding the science doesn't excuse toxic behavior. It explains why it works, because once you understand the pattern, you stop blaming yourself. And the moment you stop blaming yourself, you become much harder to manipulate. If this video made you think of someone in your life, or helped you understand something you've experienced, subscribe. In the next episode, we'll explore the science-backed methods therapists use to help people rebuild confidence, restore emotional resilience, and recover after toxic relationships. Because recognizing manipulation is only the beginning. Learning how to heal is where real freedom starts.